Welcome to the Lost Signals Discusses Literature,
where we apply the revolutionary Mott scale
to classic and contemporary works of prose.
So, join us once again, won't you? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lost Signals Discusses Literature. I'm Jonathan E. Manzer, here with Chris Morgan.
Hello.
Scott Lilla.
Brandy now.
And Stephen Ramosi.
Insanity later.
And we are discussing A Clean, Well-Lighted Place by Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway, in case you were unfamiliar.
John Hemingway.
Jimmy Hemingway.
Let's keep it straight.
So, Scott, do you have a funny logline for us?
Yeah, so as a parallel to perhaps his most famous work, I've gone with The Old Drunk in the Seat.
And continue
Yes.
talking with the plot.
So of course, Hemingway, in case you haven't known it, and if you do, he writes very short stories. They're very, I don't want to say visceral, but they're sort of slice of life for the most part, but capturing some kind of essence of humanity. So in terms of plot, it's just two waiters bitching about an old drunk guy that comes to their cafe and won't leave. At least one of them wants him to leave because he wants to go home. The other waiter's like, it's not so bad. And it's more about the emotion. So there's not much plot. The old man eventually leaves. They're like, get out of here, old man, we're closing. So he wanders away, and the other waiter sort of also drifts off into the night because that's what he does. So a lot of it's style. It's hard to describe the plot because I just said, that's basically it. It's a little vignette of what's happening on this little corner cafe in some nondescript city. So that's basically the plot. So this has come up before when we've done stories like this, at least a couple of times at this point. How then to parse out points to that, given the nature of it? I'm looking at a 3, actually, because even though it's short, I think it's self-contained. I think there is somewhat of an arc, or at least the emotional arc is there. You get the feeling that I think Hemingway is trying to convey to you as the reader. So in terms of that, like I said, that may indeed go to style, but I still think it's contained in the plot. So I'm looking at a 3, though I can see you guys might say 2, so I will open it up.
Somebody really pretentious with this.
Please.
You're
Something
right,
different for a change.
Much doesn't happen in this, but this is a very thematic work. And the narrative of this is very simple, yet each of the characters in there is a different point in life.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're watching really 4 characters in this, although one is very, very brief. Expressing youth, middle age,
And old age. Sure.
Well, and then 2 types of old age. One is having that age where you're established and you're starting to become elderly, and then the elderly aspect. So you're seeing a full life narrative over the course of this very quick event. And I have to give Hemingway a lot of credit for this. And so it's weird because we're parsing it out. Instinctively, I want to give it a 2, but I also kind of intellectually want to give it a 3.
Yeah, I kind of know exactly what you mean, so.
When you said it's a very thematic piece, and this is what might move me from 2 to 3, and we'll get to it when it go, but I don't want to go into it because we are going to discuss themes, but what you said before, that is a very thematic piece, is what might bump me to a 3. So that's all I have to say on it. We'll move it to Steve.
Yeah, it's for sure going to be a 2 for me. However, I will say that it's going to be a 2 for me because there's not enough room in this, I think, to really do a full plot.
Well, it's always the
arc.
problem of these short stories, like we were saying.
And that's it's fine. It's a little slice of life. It's a little vignette, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just isn't a full plot arc, which is what I am judging it on. And that being said, you're right. I think it's really fascinating that he gets so much into so little
that's
space.
His thing, man.
And yeah, that's always going to be Hemingway. If you're reading Hemingway, and it's fairly incredible to think about afterward reading something that he wrote and what he did with how little he how few words he used.
Yeah, sure.
And but that's always been what Hemingway is known for. That said, I think it's more than enough for a 2, but it's slightly too little for a 3. There's just not that feeling of a full story here. It feels like a small part of a story, and because of that, I think I have to give it a 2.
Yeah, I get you, but like that was my initial impression. But maybe it's unfair because I've done the very same thing to previous pieces that we've read that are like this. They're basically like mood pieces, pretty much, right?
Right.
So therefore, like, there's not much plot to it. But maybe we'll get to it next question. That because it's Hemingway, because he crams so much like thematically, I think the arc is thematic and emotional. Therefore, a complete narrative arc as well in this instance. And granted, I've actually never read this Hemingway piece before this. Like, even though I'm familiar with him and lots of other stuff, just this is one. I did not. But I'm saying that's my argument for a 3 in this case, and it might be a little unfair in retrospect because I could have done that to other pieces that I didn't do previously. Yeah. But in this case, I am, and I think I might change my view somewhat going forward. But nevertheless, I'm sticking with a 3. But I see your 2, and I think it's perfectly fine, and it's reasonable.
I see your 2
for the reasons you said.
All right, what do you guys think?
It is a very atmospheric piece. It is a very thematic piece, and I loved the atmosphere, and I literally finished the story and reread it. So I think I have to give it a 3.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna. Because Steve-O spoke to what my instinct was, and the two of you spoke to what I intellectually want to give it. But I think I'm gonna stick with my instinct and give it a very, very strong 2.
Just not a 3. Yeah. Like I said, completely Absolutely. Fair. I think it's a razor's edge there. So
yeah, when I was what decided was like, man, when Scott was talking about the atmosphere, I was like, holy shit, I really just turned around and reread this thing. I'm like, I think I have to give it a 3.
Sure. So it does that, then I think you can give it credit there.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right, Steve-O, on to themes.
Speaking of.
So, Ian, I think you spoke a little bit to this point when you were talking about plot. There is that that theme of like different generations looking at the same event in their own ways, and I think it's really fascinating to look at this piece from that point of view of like, hey, here's how a young man sees a night where he's just stuck at work, and here's how like a slightly older guy who has a little more experience sees a night where he's stuck at work, and here's how the guy who's keeping them stuck at work sees this night.
May I just interrupt for a second?
Sure.
I think the soldier that doesn't stop in but passes by with the woman is the most, as it's youthful character in this, and is what they're not stuck at work. You're out enjoying the night and enjoying love. So I think that the progression is part of it. There.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that definitely is like there is something to be said there for that. I almost don't want to call it even. I mean, it is a character. He is a character, but like it's this is
a background extra in the story.
Very short, like just this
like
is
youth.
This is something. Oh,
he passes by like a breeze. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. There's the discussion about like the things that you wish you could be doing while you're doing the things that you actually are doing, which is, I think, what a lot of people think about when they're working, right? And I think that, especially me, I don't know about all of you out there in
I second that
in podcast land, but like there's always that idea of what am I missing out on while I'm here stuck working? I could be, for these characters, I could be home sleeping, whatever, and for the old man, it's the same thing in a different kind of way. The old man who's like drinking brandy over there is you get the feeling that he's just reminiscing on the things that in his life that he used to have and doesn't anymore. His life isn't about the future anymore; it's about the past. Whereas like the younger character, his life is all about the future and what he wants to be doing. And the I guess the middle-aged waiter, I don't actually know how old he was exactly supposed to be, but like
somewhere in between those two. Though.
He is kind of like at a point in his life where he is, I don't want to say satisfied, but he's come to terms with what his life is, and he's just kind of like living it. Like what it is what it is. If I'm stuck here until 3 a.m., then I'm stuck here until 3 a.m. Whatever. So I think that's really a fascinating facet to what these characters are going through and things like that. I'm sure that there are probably more interesting themes that I'm missing out on, and I hope that anybody can point one out.
I think that's the major theme that he was going for. But I think this is a work that can be read at different points in your life, and you gain different insights, or you attach yourself to a different character in this. And I feel like I'm missing out upon some things when reading it. Like certain parts were not speaking to me; they were speaking to someone else, and I like getting that impression. In like I'm not in on a joke in a way. And I guess that joke is life. But
on a joke that was told, when did this story come out? Do we have the year?
I don't have it offhand.
I don't remember, but a joke that was told however many years ago, like however much life changes, it always stays the same.
Well, that's pretty much what was I going to say about themes. So, like, Hemingway was, I'll say, a genius at just encapsulating like the human condition, more or less, and with the various angles of it, and condensing it into, again, stories like this, like in a very small space, but packed with so much, again, like emotionality to it that, and depending who you are and your viewpoint on life, you'll get something different out of it. That's part of his strength there as a writer. So I think like that's all packed in. Yeah, like I like the arc of like the youthful couple going through, and then the younger waiter, and then the middle-aged waiter, and then the old man drinking brandy. And I think it ties in, both of those tie in thematically. You can get a lot of angles out of both and see aspects, again, sprinkled throughout a very short story that, of course, and again, Hemingway doesn't use a lot of like flowery language. It's clipped, it's to the point, but yet it's somehow like hypnotic regardless of that.
It's dense.
Yeah.
So like, I think all that's there, and that's why I argue at least, that you always got to give him a lot of credit, and this story is no exception, because he's able to do that so well. And you can get so much out of it. Like Chris said, he was compelled almost to read it again immediately and try to get something else out of it, or at least see more of it.
I read this about 4 times over the course of my life.
So I'm giving a very strong one. All I'm saying thematically, that is.
It's a very bittersweet thing. I mean,
that's going to be Hemingway's trademark, dude.
I've never read Hemingway before. This is my first Hemingway, and atmospherically,
which is so weird.
Yeah, I know. I'm a heathen.
Uncouth.
I don't know how you missed Hemingway.
I know.
You're as old as he is.
I do appreciate the Hawaiian shirt that you wore in his honor.
I thought he mistook it for Hunter S. Thompson's story instead.
Well, it'll work. I've got other Hawaiian shirts. So, one thing I also like the somewhat apathetic bartender at the end. Because
that's a good point.
Well, because in a way he kind of parallels his the younger waiter. He kind of parallels the. He's not. We don't know if he's self-serving or not. And the younger waiter comes off as self-serving, but he's young. He's got a wife at home. He wants to go home, go to bed. Blah blah blah. And this man identifies with a man like. You don't want to go to bed, because I remember when I was living with my grandparents when I was going to school. My grandma would stay up all night and read. She didn't want to go to bed. Yeah. So I'm saying, as the older gentleman, as we get, I'll let you guys know I'm older than you. I'll get, if we're still around, you can hear me grow old. But
I look forward to it.
No, but I just found from my observations in life,
more and more
people who are
every year.
Older than me, it's just like you have an understanding of what the next stage might be. He doesn't want to go home. He's also blind, right? Was
deaf. I think you made that up.
Sorry,
yeah,
he was deaf. Sorry.
Be a shitty waiter if he was blind.
I know that was. I kept thinking of Tuco's uncle when he was hitting the saucer. I kept thinking of the little bell. Breaking Bad reference. Better Call Saul. But I just thought he packed in a lot of, as Scott said, emotion into this. There's a lot going on and a great atmosphere for very few words. I mean, I have to give it a 1. But I'm just saying the fact that it invoked so many things in my memory that that's very, very strong.
That's what he's great at. I'm saying so, yeah.
Good job.
I would give it a 3 if I could, but I have to give it a 1.
Did I give it a 3?
Well, you
No, you give it a 1. I just
I
saying
give
that
it
I
a-
would have
oh.
given it more than a 1.
Oh,
To themes is what he's saying. Sure.
I'm right with you.
So on to me with Antagonist. I'm going to give something abstract here. Time.
Life.
Yep.
Damn it.
Life, all that stuff.
Damn it! I was gonna say age or time was
Yeah.
gonna be mine.
You don't want to go to sleep at that age because you don't know if you wake up.
Yeah. Unless your niece cuts you down.
just drink brandy.
Yeah. Kept my grandmother alive for years.
Sure.
That's what helping wine will do.
But
I got
yeah,
my
I
whiskey.
mean, it's a very effective antagonist because
I mean, of course, it's always going to be, and yeah, I don't have an argument against that because that's basically again one of the trademarks of Hemingway. Often is that like there's no actual like villain per se, at least personified. It's just like the ravages of life and time will get you, and this one's no different. So I definitely going to agree with that, and I think it comes across, of course, pretty clearly, and he always does a great job of encapsulating that. Like I said, it's part of his style, almost always, and it's strong here. So
You could be a king or a lowly street sweeper. Sooner or later, you
dance with the Reaper. Like that could have been a fucking Hemingway line. Like
I wish Hemingway. I wish Hemingway
it
had
was.
written that line.
unfortunately not, but
No,
could be.
I completely agree with you guys. It's. I mean, there's not much to be said about it. Like, look, fucking, you see the progression
Life
of
beats
age
it down.
through the characters in this story, and you know, it sucks getting old. But you know,
No,
at
it
least you
doesn't.
can always drink brandy,
Exactly.
Yes,
Or whiskey.
No, Brady.
Or brandy.
or what have you.
whatever the hell you want. Really,
Sure.
You're old. Who gives a shit? Who's gonna
Yeah,
stop
exactly.
Just whatever you're drinking, just
An
say.
impatient waiter.
Yeah, just whatever you're
you?
drinking.
Yeah, that's true. Fucker.
As an old man, just be like, keep it coming, whatever it is.
I hold on. Is that another theme that I missed? The young will always destroy your good times.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah,
old.
it's-
And if you're old, they're always annoying you and ruining your good times and not doing what you ask, of course. So it works both ways still.
All right.
I think it's the
Well, I'm
one
gonna
for
give
everybody.
it a 1 because I agree with your antagonist.
all right. Well, keep talking on Protagonist.
Okay, and protagonist. I'm gonna go with the older waiter because the younger. It seems to me that the younger waiters complaining or whatever, and I'm using that term broadly, but the older waiters questioning him on it. The older waiters kind of trying to translate between the younger waiter and the drunk man. So he would be like. So the waiter would say something like, you know, he tried to commit suicide. It's like, why? Or, you know, it's like, how much money? He was always following up with questions and then, in a way, starting to provide an answer for him, even if it wasn't a direct answer. Towards the end, he was like saying, well, this is what this man's life is. I definitely think it's the older of the two waiters. And for that reason, because he basically translates one to the other, I'm going to give him a 1.
Well, that's actually a pretty interesting reasoning. I like it. I was going to say, by default, it's going to be the middle waiter, if you will, because you spend the most time with him. You end the story, at least with him, from his viewpoint, to the best extent that there can be in the story. So, like, I was going to maybe argue for a 0 just because all these characters, like, collectively kind of protagonists. But I think because it's tough because, again, like I said, the nature of Hemingway's writing is often like this, where it's hard to parse out, like, here is the protagonist and here is the villain, etc. But I think in this instance, I might just lean over. This might be a biased score, to give it a 1. But I think you just spend enough time, at least within the limited time that you have with the story overall,
Sure.
you do get something more of his psyche, if you will. So that's, I think, another argument to possibly give him protagonist role and protagonist credit. But I could be convinced not.
I think this is really interesting. Ian, I'm sorry to jump ahead of you, but I think you're going to want to hear what I have to say.
Do you?
Yeah, I know you don't ever, but I always think that you do.
You keep thinking that. That's great.
I think that this story is super interesting because depending on where you are in your life, you can take any of these three characters as the protagonist. I
That's a good point.
I can see being like just fed up with this old man like stealing all your time when you're younger. Like, oh, come on, I got things to do. Like, I gotta be somewhere. I could see being the quote unquote middle-aged waiter who says like, hey, look, we're all gonna get old eventually. Like, he's paid his dues and
Give him a goddamn brandy.
Yeah, let's give him a brandy. Let's let him
Sure.
fucking pay his time. And I can see like the old guy, like, shit, I'm at the end of my life. Like, who cares at this point? Like, and what I love about it is I myself am probably all three of these characters at once, depending on my mood, you know?
Sure.
Like,
I think that's, again, the beauty of his writing.
And that's the best thing about all three of these characters. And so for that, I have to give it a very strong one.
And if you don't enjoy this short story, you're probably not of the age to respect it. And you're that soldier that had walked off.
Yeah.
Soldier that wanted
You're not part of it at all.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that was exactly the point I was going to make. You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But no, good on
you
you.
know.
Good on you.
This is a great slice of life also for if you've ever waited tables or something. You're waiting for that last customer to leave and you're seeing people pass by that are not waiting tables waiting for their customer to
Yes.
leave.
Oh, believe me, I have been that young waiter.
We know you
Yeah.
both have.
Fuck that guy.
That's fine.
Who makes me wait. But also, I've been that guy that makes somebody else wait. So
Yeah, that's
fair
true.
No, you guys are right. Like, actually, I should have been more obvious to me, but given having said what you said, you're right. They all three could be depending on your mood or actual age, even.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely giving it a 1.
So, okay. Scott supporting cast.
All right. So how does that leave us then? Like, should we count the soldier and his lady friend?
One
like
would think.
anyone. So if all three of them are sort of 1/3 of each like revolving door protagonist, then it sort of leaves nobody. The bartender Chris mentioned at the end.
We have precedent for that, though.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
By his bootstraps.
Mhm.
That the minute
In
you
which
shift
they're all.
protagonists.
Ooh, you're right. So
See,
given
like,
that, hold on.
But it's different because that's a shifting protagonist. I don't think this is shifting. It's just depending on the reader.
It's tricky.
So it doesn't like change for you. It just depends on the mood.
And
you're
they're three
in when you
different
read
people,
it, I
whereas in
think.
Bootstraps, he's the same. It's the same person, so it's a little bit different. But I do like.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Too bad.
For by his bootstraps.
Out of context. But I mean, it's tricky because you're right. Like you could look at it both ways, but I'm inclined to look at it that they do switch roles. Like they support each other, depending on what you're getting out of it. I guess it's the best way I can say it. And of course, I want to give as much credit to Hemingway whenever possible. So again, this review might be a little biased on my part. I fully admit that.
100%
But
biased.
yeah, if I do look at it that way, and if I take the precedence there, that's similar. Like although not 1-to-1 ratio, perhaps I will use it to give it enough credit to give it a 1 because of that angle that I took.
I think regardless of who you choose to follow in this story, they're all fascinating characters in their own way. They're all frustrating characters in their own way at points.
Sure.
Even the middle-aged waiter, who I think we're all kind of respect, like he has his. I could see him being frustrating to the younger waiter with this thing. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 1 for that.
All right.
I agree.
I'm going to give this a 0 because
I still think that's fair as well.
Because I do see everybody else as a
Switching
as a protagonist, except for the soldier who just isn't enough for me to get.
He has a
supporting
walk-on
one.
part in the cafe. If you
Yeah.
will. But anyway.
Great line.
Yeah.
Not enough for one for supporting. But yeah, I think I'm going to give this a 0. Not for lack of the story being good, just for lack of it actually having supporting characters in my mind.
We certainly set precedent for that, and I think that's completely valid as well.
But that's going to be 3 1s and a 0 for this score. Is that
I think
right?
Chris has something left to say.
I just want to say the reason because I myself counted the protagonist as the one waiter because I felt that he translated the situation. He could not have done his job without the supporting characters.
Sure.
So that is why
That's your
I'm
take on it?
that's why I'm giving that.
I got you.
Okay, and the impatient waiter in the corner there, Stephen, talk about dialogue.
Oh, I love the dialogue in this. It's so simple, but it's so Hemingway, and it's just like this perfect conversation that happens. That's like, oh, as a waiter, I'm like, I had this conversation, but less good at some point in my life. And like, I think that's the best way to say it.
Yeah, that's really
like,
funny.
There's something about like encapsulating everything about being a waiter at the end of the night in 5 pages that is really super fucking impressive, and Hemingway does it, and not only that, but he captures 3 lives so perfectly through, I don't know, 40 lines of dialogue, maybe
Something roughly that, yeah, or less even, yeah.
And I just love the dialogue in this. I can't say anything else. I'm just going to give it a very strong one. And I assume that. Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah, I'm going to give it a 1.
I mean, I certainly am, but I think it ties into his style. Like, he writes, again, very natural, organic. Like, it's nothing, like, fucking mind-blowing, but because it feels so real and natural, it's so believable. And, yeah, like the way you put it, like, people are having, like, it's a semi-serious discussion. Like, it isn't and isn't, but it's better than discussions you probably have in your actual life.
Right.
But it's like, I love that. That's fucking hilarious, buddy. But, yeah, but I think it ties into his style. But, like, again, the conversation itself, the main one at least, between the two waiters, and even like the other, like very other brief exchanges of dialogue, because it fits so well into the story, into the setting, into the characters, and Hemingway again wields the pen so deftly. I think you have to give it a 1.
It's a clean, well-lighted story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, again, Scott, you brought to the point that like getting a 0
Chris
on the
ruined
dialogue for me. What?
Chris, you ruined the exclamation point that Ian put on.
Sorry, I fucked.
No, keep going, please.
No, I fucked.
You've already
Never
started.
mind. My
You've already
dialogue
started.
fucked everything up.
Giving your dialogue a 0.
Give my dialogue a 0.
No. I don't want you to stop, please. I was just naming it.
All I was saying was this is a perfect example of what I say. Good, the dialogue has to be natural. It has to be organic. This is a great example
Like,
of.
he is the like
Yeah,
not
this is a great example of why you have to really, to get a 1 from me, to not get a 1 from me, you have to really fuck up dialogue. And this is a great example of just, it's a really well done burger or something like that. Something plain that you could do really well.
It's the opposite of a nothing burger.
Yes, it's
a something burger.
Exactly.
I think it's something burger. So 1's all around?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay. So I'm going to go to style. I mean, Hemingway.
Yeah, that was going to be my answer if it
But
was
not
on me.
just Hemingway. He defined American short writing and what it became. I mean, he's the master of it, and he's the one who, in a lot of senses, created like that style.
For sure.
How you can like dissecting the stories, dissecting like how Hemingway produces, and I'm not going to say more because I think it should be enjoyed on its own.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'll just pick out 2 lines that, because, like I said, I never read this one. 2 lines that got me. The one waiter was speaking without omission of syntax. Stupid people employ when talking to drunken people or foreigners. Like that's that is such classic Hemingway. It's fucking amazing. And there's one other one too, slightly after that, where the waiter's it's a description of the waiter that he did not wish to be unjust. He was only in a hurry, and like that sort of like that resonated with me. It just, but like to your point, it's just simple, but something about it like connects with you.
Well, exactly. But thank you for doing that, because I didn't know you were going to read off lines. I just said it's best to be enjoyed on its own, and bam, you provide some examples of it.
Yeah.
It's great. Right.
So like, those are just 2 quick examples, and it's all like that. All Hemingway pretty much is, and it's no different here. And it's just, his style is just so unique. Like you said, he embodied American literature, and like his influence still resonates a lot to this day. So
I think this is a great example of the kind of writing I love, where you can create such an atmosphere, he doesn't have to give you every little bit of detail for you to perfectly flesh out what this cafe might look like.
He's a master of that.
I was like, from literally the first sentence, I was right in where they were. So I mean, I have to give it a 1.
Yeah, it's a super strong one. I mean, we've been talking about the style this entire time without
it's the centerpiece.
Talking about the
exactly.
Style, you know, it's you get such a sense of place when you read a Hemingway story, and this one is no different. But not only do you get a great sense of place in this, you get a great sense of characters, and he does it so quickly and so like deftly. You know, he cuts right to the heart of what's going on, and I absolutely love that about this story in particular, since we're talking about this and not all of Hemingway. But like,
right.
Its style is going to be a very strong one for sure.
I'd say you're a literature idiot if you would ever give Hemingway a 0, but perhaps that's a topic for another day.
What's the term? Trattoria? Is that?
I don't know.
I don't know how
Trattoria?
Maybe. Do you pronounce it Trattoria?
Where is it in here? I'll look it up.
It's not in the story, but like that's what it gets like. That's what I think of when I think of this. Like, and I don't even know if that's the right term, but it's like for me, it's like an outdoor.
Clearly, you are not Hemingway.
It's like an outdoor cafe, right? And like he's like there's an old guy sitting at a table, like waiting for his fucking booze, and like
sure.
I don't know. I have such a sense of like what is going on in this as throughout the whole story.
Okay, and Chris, recommendation.
I did not know what I was going into this, what scores I was going to give it. I'm frankly surprised I gave it what I did. But for the fact of the matter is, as I said before, I immediately turned around and reread this story. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the story I enjoyed the setting. And then I think I went back to read it again to get like the complete details because I was kind of caught up. I was there, but I was like listening to the conversation rather than being in it. I have to give it a very, very strong 1. I actually do recommend this because it said so much with so little, and because I went back right away because I wanted to make sure there's a lot in here for a very short story, and I do have to recommend it. It's a quick read, and it's very enjoyable.
I mean, Hemingway, yeah, like I said, if it wasn't clear before, like, I'm always going to recommend him. And this one, like, while not, like, now that I haven't read it, would it be the first thing I recommend of his? Probably not, but if I'd still tell people to read it, or if someone said, hey, came on a story of Hemingway's, should I read it? I'm like, yeah, of course you should. And yeah, like, again, it's so exemplary of his kind of style and, like, how he can just imbue so much into such a short piece that I always going to recommend him, and I'm recommending A Clean, Well-Lighted Place as well.
So this is the first time I've read this short story, and honestly, this might be the first Hemingway that I recommend to people, because Hemingway isn't necessarily for everybody, right? Like, not everybody's going to love reading Hemingway, but this is something you can read in, I don't know, 10 minutes, and if you like it, you're going to like Hemingway, and if you don't like it, you're not going to like Hemingway. Like, this is a good on-ramp to...
Yes, that's a good call. It's a good, like, primer.
Whether or not you like Hemingway, and it's... Yes, read it.
Oddly enough, I don't think Old Man in the Sea is the good on-ramp.
I don't think so
Me
either.
neither.
I think that's what people generally...
Yeah.
Your first exposure to Hemingway.
Yes.
It was mine for sure. I couldn't get through it in high school because I wasn't...
That's why I think it's a mistake.
I didn't have the bedrock of like reading at that point to read Hemingway. I really got to read that again.
But anyways, I think I do agree.
There's so many other things. I've read about half of Hemingway, I would say.
Sure.
That works. And
Hemming?
Yes.
Shut the fuck up. Stop it. Go on.
No, just the way.
The second half of that's what he meant.
A fastball song?
Not For Whom the Bell Tolls. What's
Farewell to Arms?
Farewell to Arms, yeah. I think. Or no, it is For Whom the Bell Tolls. Is, I think, my favorite work of his. But regardless, it doesn't matter. I recommended this for the reading tonight, and I would recommend it to anyone. I adore Hemingway. So
yeah, like, it's obvious we're Hemingway fans, but I still think you guys are right. Like, it's a good primer for those who may not be familiar with him.
Yeah.
All right, so...
where does it leave us?
Well, I'll give out the scores now. Scott and Chris both give it a 10.
Mm-hmm.
I give it a 9. And the curmudgeon of the evening...
Ooh,
Hemingway himself.
Surprise curmudgeon.
With an 8 is Stephen Ramosi, giving us a 9.25 overall, which I think is very fair.
That's fine. Perfectly fine for the story, yeah.
All right.
Hemingway's going to come punch you in the face for giving it an 8.
Bring it on, old dead man.
Okay, well, I'm Jonathan E. Manzer, and it tolls for thee. Here with Chris Morgan.
Good night.
Scott Thurlow.
One more cup of brandy, please.
And Stephen Ramosi.
Have a good night.
Mm-hmm. See you next time.
Editing and engineering by Christopher Morgan. Music by Christopher Morgan. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.